everybody, and welcome. It's our first official Premier Fantasy show since the league started, and you could see grown men crying on this show because, hey, how bad was it? So that's what we're going to talk about, because some of us, our team, is really doing badly. I don't want to swear on Premier Fantasies in the first week, but it was tough. Anyway, and then I've got another story to tell you, but first of all, Kloplo is going to welcome all the panelists.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us once more. Eventful week, and some teams just did not live up to expectation, in other words, our team. And then some teams surprised us, which we will tell you more about. Welcome, guys. Good to see you.
Thanks for having us. Yeah. Always a pleasure.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And look at Keegan, he went straight to Old Trafford. I mean, they lifted the travel ban and he's gone to his beloved Old Trafford, which is some indication. But just quickly, I just want to establish, because I wanted to pick on the team. So Barney's below us because OG's also working. Barney, how much points did the Lucky Strikers end up with?
Not very lucky at all.
But better than us. I think you did better than us. But I
haven't seen our points. OG's doing the admin, so yeah, I'm a bit lost with our team's performance. I heard it was very bad though. And looking at the players we got, it was.
Yeah, I think you and our team are in the same boat. We'll get to the other guys, yes?
So just for reference, you guys had 41 points in this game week, which made you 59th.
And you guys?
65th, so we're behind you.
You behind us. Thank you. That's important.
but it doesn't help. Before I get to Habits a Laugh, I see the Stretford Tinkerers are doing okay. Let's start with Keegan up the top there. Keegan, you guys must have been pretty happy with your results.
Yeah, I think we couldn't really be too disappointed with how things went. So, yes, we should have kept Salah over Aubameyang, but we thought Aubameyang looks great option, and Liverpool didn't look too great pre-season, so we thought, why not just give it a punt, especially ahead of the Chelsea game that Liverpool have this weekend. We thought, let's see. Leeds were looking great, and they ended up being a great side throughout the whole game. So it was actually an awesome football game to watch as a neutral. But definitely Salah over Aubameyang would have been a great captain. And looking at the Liverpool assets in defence, they're just completely disappointed. And unfortunately, with Virgil's mistake that he made, that is so rare to see, and Trent just looking non-existent. And then my fear of Robertson taking the corner and then still getting the assist, it just seemed like nothing seemed to pan out how we hoped for. But I think 58 points on our end isn't too bad, especially moving into game week 2.
Yeah, that leaves you in 37th position, Gabriel. And interestingly enough, I see that on our log, there's another Stretford team called the Stretford Stunners.
I saw that.
And they came in 3rd.
They came in 3rd. That's very impressive. That means they must have had 80 plus points somewhere there. And it's definitely a good start. As we've stressed in the previous shows as well, this is the experimental phase. So long as we're above the average points, which I believe was 51 for this game week, then it's not really something that's too much to worry about. Obviously, week to week, we want to improve and see how certain players are doing, maybe bring some in, take some out. But 58 points is not too bad. And whoever the other Stretford team is, I'm coming for you. Keegan and I are coming for you. So
I'm going to talk to James in a moment, but Barney will know this story. You know that they used to stay in the War household between Steve Waugh and Mark Waugh. They used to say, "You're not even the best batsman in your own house." Well, you're not even the best Stretfords in your own Stretford house. So you better sort that out. At least there's only one star aligned, and we're doing rubbish. I want to talk to James because we're all dying to hear how bad the domestic was. Sky suddenly had a go at you on our group, saying, "I told you not to pick that guy." What happened?
Yeah, so we watched most of the football on Saturday together, and I made the final selection this week, so I took a bit of the brunt. Basically, the big debate was, why didn't I include Vardy? And it just so happened that he scored. So
2.
Yes, you're correct. 2. So yeah, I took a bit of a beating from Sky, but no, it was good. It was good. It wasn't the worst weekend. I think Gabriel hit it on the nail there, saying that you just got to get through the first weekend, get above the average, and then you go from there.
Well, I know quite a lot about domestics at this stage, but that's a story for another day.
Let me just put the Trent Alexander glasses on. Because we captain Trent, somebody in the house captain Trent Alexander.
Anyway, James, what I wanted to actually say to you is that in our competitive little league amongst us as on the show, you guys are ahead. You guys are first.
I think that could come down to one player. I think it saved a lot of people. I don't think we can bank on that every week. So we will sleep with one eye open. But yeah, we got to strategize.
So in total, you came in 19th with 71 points. But at the end of the day, you know, in our Premier Fantasies competition amongst ourselves, you are first. But the team that came in first, you won't believe it. The name of the team is Top Dire Generation.
Dude.
And I'm about to welcome them on. But in terms of what it does for me emotionally, is not really good because my son Gregory is in this team.
Can you believe this? Okay, so Barney knows the story. I think you all know the story now. I mean, it's bad enough to have a really poor team, but when you see your son, who's a Chelsea supporter, on top, I mean, it's unbelievable. So we're going to welcome them in. I'm not going to talk to them, obviously. But Denzel is not Denzel. It's actually Tyrone. It's using his dad's computer. So we're going to bring in Tyrone Naidu and Gregory Andrews, who join us. And here they are. I don't know why they even entered. They're supposed to be doing prelim matrics. This is an idea of how the new generation.
Exactly what I want to say. Gregory, just so you know, you're punished for beating me this week because you're supposed to be preparing for exams. That's all I'm trying to say.
Unbelievable. Well, I think Tyrone's going to join us. I don't know if he can hear us, but it's amazing about the new millennials is they're very good on audio, but they don't know how to click TVs. Ah, here he is.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it's the on-camera button. Welcome, Tyrone.
Hi.
Okay, so all of us want to know, I mean, what did you got 95 points.
Yeah.
How on earth did you get 95 points?
Well, I think the big instance was us choosing the right captain in captaining Salah. And then we had quite a few differentials that helped us there.
So I'm looking just, you a Liverpool fan? It is a Liverpool thing. So it was easy, I suppose, to pick Salah as your captain because I know Gregory's a Chelsea fan. Was there a big debate about who would captain?
Yes.
Not really.
Werner. I wanted Werner.
Aren't you glad you didn't choose Werner?
I'm very glad after the argument we had, but I'm glad at the end of the day.
I don't know if any of the other lads have any questions for you because Keegan and Gabriel are supposed to be the experts. They were telling Barney and I we must watch and learn. Not that they have done badly at all, but Barney, I mean, it's incredible. 95 points. And I mean, it's not, so you got 40 points, obviously, on the Salah captain, but that still leaves you with 55. Gregory, where else did you pick up points then?
We picked up points with Reece James as well as Castagna.
Yeah. So Castagna got you 14 points and Reece James got you another 14 points. And then you also had Aubameyang.
Aubameyang was a definite belief in us because, like you see, Aubameyang is a very consistent goal scorer. And considering the fact that he's also being relabeled from a forward to a midfielder means he gets more points for clean sheets as well as additional points for goals.
What's your take on how they structured their team, Gabriel?
Well, it seems to have been quite thought out, just having a look at it, because I've got it right next to me now. Just looking at it, I see that a lot of the choices that they made are a lot of the choices that we made as well. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is quite well balanced. You guys have probably been thinking of this team and tinkered with it for a bit of time before you made the final decisions, eh?
Yes, it is tough, like settling on a starting 11, but I think the basis was investing very little into the bench, purely because the bench is not going to get us any points. So we'd rather reinvest that into the starting 11.
I want to ask Barney a question because I'm looking around. I think Barney and I are the senior statesmen,
Yes.
along with Liam. Barney, what the hell are we going to do in the weeks coming? Because we haven't got off to a good start.
No.
I mean, what
Neil,
are you
I'm sitting
thinking?
here.
Do we panic?
I'm listening to the younger generation. I mean, I'm actually listening and learning the whole time here. I'm pretty new at this. You know, I know my football, but I don't know much about fantasy. And listening to the youngsters, it's actually very, very impressive. I must tell you, you know, we had a meeting last week, me and my partner OG at my house. I'd had a few beers. I got one or two technical analysts in to come help us. A lot of thought went into this. You can't believe what was happening. And then we get disappointed like that. So, you know, I'm blaming OG and he's not here. Don't tell him I said that.
So the truth of the matter is that in game week 1, the lot of us got our backsides handed to us by post-pubescents.
Oh. Wow.
I want to ask James a quick question here. James, because it's interesting, I got a message from my sister when I said, can you believe it? It's embarrassing how badly I've done. And Gregory is going to show me up on this show by being on top. And she just said exactly as Barney said. She said, this is the youth showing that they are the future. And I don't know why it is, but James, you sort of in the middle generation. So I don't know whether you're going to seek help from a younger person than Sky, or are you going to stick with him?
No, so Sky's opinion is valued because we are in this together. But I'm fortunate to have a younger cousin who's in a younger category. So he brings in a different input as well. So it's nice to have a balance.
So guys, for folks at home watching, if they're either doing well, okay. By the way, I've seen some familiar names. I see Justin Vermark. Yes, Justin Vermark is in the top 10. He's a massive Liverpool fan. Yeah, I saw him there. So we'll get Justin on maybe in a couple of weeks to come. But the question that I wanted to ask, because it might help the viewers here, is to go around and we will start with the leaders who got 95 points. That's you, Tyrone and Gregory, to help us and help us all. Because who do you think will be the individual player to get the most points this game week 2? You've obviously looked around. You're going to shuffle. We don't want you to give all of your trade secrets away, Tyrone. But who do you think is going to be this week's Mo Salah?
Well, him and I have been in a lot of talks. Well, the main factor we've been taking into account is fixtures, you see. And Aubameyang really caught our attention with being at home against West Ham.
So, Aubameyang, do you agree with that, Tyrone?
Of course. Against Aubameyang, coming off of the back of scoring a really good goal this weekend, facing against what seems to be a quite demoralized West Ham team because of instances that have been happening with the club. So I'm backing Aubameyang to get a brace, maybe, hopefully.
Okay, and you, James? Any ideas on who's the go-to captain or the go-to guy this week?
This wasn't easy for me to admit, but I think it's going to have to be Bruno. United's first game of the season. Bruno's their talisman. I think it's a no-brainer, but we'll have to see.
And Barney?
I'm going with Aubameyang, and I think the game against West Ham, I was going to say him. I really think he's going to score a lot of goals this season, and Saturday he could have a feast.
Gabriel and Keegan, in your team, who do you think is going to be your talisman?
Right. So before speaking about in our team specifically, well, maybe we might have him later, maybe not. But I think somebody to watch is Anthony Martial. He does particularly well again with Bruno Fernandes and against the, well, for the lack of a better word, smaller teams. He really does perform. And seeing as Manchester United are playing against Crystal Palace, I do see him scoring a couple of goals, but we wait and see.
I want to ask Keegan a question because Crystal Palace, and I know that Barney's got an opinion on Roy Hodgson, didn't think he was the best England manager of all time, but what he is wily. And if you look statistically last season, they don't concede that many. They're not too flashy up front, but they've got off to a good start beating Southampton. I would imagine they'll go to Old Trafford and just try and frustrate Manchester United. I'm not so sure it's going to be a huge flood of goals there for the home team.
Well, I agree with that, Neil. Ray Hodgson, we always said not the best England manager, but give him a team like West Brom or Crystal Palace, and he'll do a damn fine job. He's more experienced than anyone, and he'll have them running all day there on Saturday. So, yeah, the jury's out. I don't know if there'll be a flood of goals there either.
Keegan?
Yeah, I think Crystal Palace in the opening game week was a massive shock to me, must be honest. I honestly saw Southampton running riot there, especially with as many defensive injuries as Palace had. I think they had a lot of chances that were really well saved by their keeper. He was the outstanding player in their team with 10 points. So I think they'll come with a similar strategy against United. I think they'll try and hold as much possession as they can, but we've seen post-lockdown especially how well United did on the break and how quickly they could turn any game around. So I think if if Rashford gets to start and if Greenwood is, done isolating with his whole stint, I think it could be quite an interesting game to watch, especially seeing how well Palace defended against Southampton.
Yeah. I've got one last question, and it's actually to my partner in Stars Aligned. Who do you
see where this is going?
Are we gonna captain Trent? I assume not. And who do you think will be the?
I don't know. I actually like some of the Leeds players. I think Leeds did really, really well. I mean, they kept Liverpool running. I was pleasantly surprised. In fact, it was the most exciting game of the entire game. So I'm going to have a look at some of those players and see if there's anyone who I think is worth putting into our team as a wild card. What do you think, Nielsen?
I was very impressed with Leeds. Very, very impressed with Leeds. And I think they're going to have a scalp or two. So the question is, though, and I want to ask James this, is with that Leeds team, who do you pick? Up front, you've got Bamford, you've got the new arrival who gave the penalty away. So Leeds, none of them are particularly flashy. They're a good team. So, you're in danger of picking the wrong Leeds player.
Yeah, so for me, I did a bit of background search. Last year in the championship, they were quite solid at the back. I think they conceded the least amount of goals. Considering the championship's quite a high-scoring league, their wing-backs are phenomenal. Ayling,
Dallas.
Dallas, yeah, exactly. They push forward, high line. They keep a very high line. So potential clean sheets, assists. Yeah, good picks there.
Neil, can I ask you something, Neil?
Sorry, Bonnie.
Neil, Gareth Bale could be on his way to Tottenham.
Yeah.
That's going to make a massive difference to our lives. I know his agent very well, Neil. I know his agent.
Yes. So are you allowed to tell us if it's happening?
No, I don't know any more than I've read. But it's definitely it could happen. It could happen. I've heard.
Well, I know I'm surprised that Barney didn't say he's in the hunt for a job, and that's all we're going to say on that.
Oh, wow.
Because he knows something that we can't announce. It's been embargoed.
For Gregory and Tyrone, do you foresee yourselves altering your team in any way?
Not likely for this week. because even though we've got quite a few clashes, I think we're happy with the players that we have, and we chose them at the beginning of the season for a reason. But long term, there's obviously the likes of De Bruyne, who we obviously didn't select because he wasn't playing. Same with Bruno Fernandes. But for now, we're thinking we're going to just hold our transfers and then see what happens.
One of the other reasons we wanted to not make any transfers this week was to carry over that free transfer, to take less ease on minusing points next week.
I think
Hey, how annoying are these guys? They got an answer for everything.
It's a great strategy. It's what is very, very clear to me is that they have planned for the next couple of game weeks. They didn't just sit there and plan for this one game week, which is a very good strategy. I think that we could learn.
Okay. Well done. Listen, I don't want to sound like sour grapes, even though I am. Yeah, and begrudgingly. But I do want Keegan to help to a lesser extent Barney's team, but certainly to our team. Keegan, it's obvious we've got off to a bad start. Do we panic? How do we get into it? Because what Gregory said there is all very well. You're not going to make any changes and save the free transfer for next week. But we can't afford to do that, can we? I mean, should we panic? Should we use our wild card? What should we do?
I really don't think you guys should panic. I mean, it all came down to captaincy at the end of the day. I mean, captaining Trent, I mean, I think very few people could have seen that scoreline before the game week had started. I think so. I think there are players there that could, be potential captains. You've got Kane and Son both with a great fixture. I think they're playing West Brom or West Ham.
No, they're away at Southampton.
Oh, is it Southampton? Okay. So I mean, Spurs assets look great for game week 2, especially from looking at your team. I think if you wanted to, you could move Pulisic on because I've seen that he's a doubt again for the Liverpool game. So I think if you want to keep him for the long term, then yes, you can hold him. But then you've got an 8.5 on your bench that's not going to play 2 weeks in a row. So I don't know how much you guys have in your bank. But I think if you look at the other players that could do well, Everton, nothing. Okay. So maybe moving to someone to the likes of, I don't know, James Rodriguez. Everton looked like they've got really good fixtures coming up. But I think in terms of the team that you have, I think your Spurs assets are going to be your standout captains in that.
Have you studied our team, Keegan?
No, I'm just looking at it now.
Okay. I think, well, guys, it's been fantastic having you on. I have to say that I could not believe. I mean, I knew that Tyrone's a very shrewd player because they've got a third friend, James, not James, James. That's quite good. Tyrone, where's James in all of this?
The problem is he's a bit too strong of a United fan, you see.
No, don't like that.
That's not a problem at all.
Quality
Not a problem.
Like Gabriel.
Not a problem.
Anyway, Kloklo will close off, but thanks, guys. It's been lots of fun. James, send our regards to Sky. I saw him serenading his work pal, as you saw on Twitter, which was quite entertaining.
Yeah, it definitely was. I didn't know he could hit the notes. But anyway, thank you guys for being on the show. For everyone who is watching, please don't forget to subscribe. Please don't forget to like and follow, retweet on Facebook, on Twitter, share on Facebook, and we will see you again next week, Friday.
If people are watching, can they still add to the league?
Absolutely. So you can still add your team onto our league. The league code is MAHL4P that you can join the Premier Fantasies League.
Oh, is that it?
Yes, that was
Goodbye. Thanks very much. We hope to be here next week, but I don't know if it's reliable. The good news from our team, Stars Align, there's only one way, and it's up.